To be honest, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make this video just because I didn't know the type of reception it would get or if people will actually understand where I'm coming from. And this is something in regards to video game sales figures and how it has changed over the past few years. This is very important for players who are concerned that their favorite game may get deserted or might have been deserted based on what somebody said on the internet. And with the publicized low sales figures for Anthem, a lot of fans are really concerned about this type of things. Will Anthem become empty? And it is not just based on how the community feels about the game, it is more about the direction of consumer sales medium. I want to tell you now that low numbers in Anthem's physical sales doesn't really mean it had a bad week. In fact, that is a terrible way to analyze product sales, which is basically by utilizing a dying medium. And a lot of you already saw that Anthem had a really good week in the UK. Now, the low sales for Anthem was captured on physical copies sold. This is something that is attributed to the way the industry is constantly changing, and it is not based on the overall outrage of a lot of YouTubers. And at this point, I have my own knowledge and some data from different economic sources here to back up a lot of these things. The truth is, it's a lot more expensive to push out physical copies than it was 10 years ago. In fact, a lot of companies are manufacturing less physical copies by the year. When we look at the year 2018, God of War was the game of the year, and the physical copy sales fell by 9.7% on the PlayStation 4, and of course when we look at the Xbox One, it had a 12.7 fall when it comes to physical sales for a lot of games as well. The Switch, however, was the only game that had a boost in its physical sales, since it is more logical for the amount of space that we have on the SD card anyway. So a lot of people are buying more physical copies on the Switch instead of buying digital copies. Some of these changes are also attributed to the end of the console generation, which means PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are basically at the end of their generation. We're waiting for the next console series, and that is very important to also understand. And this could also mean the end for physical copies of games. With the possible increase in the hard drive spaces or the SSDs for the next generation console, we could actually see the end of physical copies unless a manufacturer or a publisher is trying to sell a collector's edition which will include a physical copy. And this is actually a common trend, not just in the gaming industry, but also in the music industry and movies as well. Years ago, people will try to sell you CDs and cassette tapes. Now it's all about digital streaming, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and even platforms like Tidal. With the main comparison to Destiny, which a lot of people have been talking about when it comes to Anthem, Destiny 1 came out in 2014. We can see on this chart right here that there is a dip of about 20% when it comes to physical copies sold. Now, if we look at the trajectory and assume that everything is almost linear by year, then 2019 will likely be 10% when it comes to physical sales compared to 90% when it comes to digital sales. Companies have also confirmed that it is more efficient to get their products out there to consumers, and actually it's a lot cheaper when it comes to physical copies versus digital copies. So you have a lot of those things, and a lot of companies are even building their own clients as well. So you have the Origin, you have the Uplay, you have the Epic Store, and of course you have others like Steam. Now, with the amount of data space required, games like Cyberpunk 2077 will likely require a special Blu-ray disc or be purely digital. And for that reason alone, the physical sales for Cyberpunk 2077 will be very, very low. Digital sales in games saves a lot of money. Now, I know a lot of us may not like it, but it seems like the general direction. Back to Cyberpunk 2077, you have this game where you will be returning to a lot of different locations and zones, and if you have to put that on multiple CDs, it will be a lot of problem if consumers have to take out one Blu-ray and insert the next one, or buy the Blu-ray and then download multiple gigs of data, which defeats the whole purpose. In most cases, they will just make the whole game digital. Now, with the popularity of streaming services like the Project Stream for Google and other platforms out there getting into gaming, the addition of game as a service model is also part of the future that we know, and also digital downloads is part of them as well. We may end up going all digital by the year 2025, except for games with the collections editions like I have pointed out earlier. This is what can be expected for years to come. Hope this video helps you understand where things are going. So when your favorite game gets a low physical sales figure, don't take it as a bad thing. Don't be anxious about it because it is an expected change in the industry. Don't let some YouTuber out there convince you that your favorite game is dying or things like that. Go out there and discover this information yourself. I also hope that you don't fall for the common bash and I was wrong type of videos that do pop up on YouTube. Streaming and digital sales is what counts now. Physical copies are no longer a big factor because they actually cost more money. In fact, Anthem is a trending game when it comes to YouTube gaming topics right now, and it is no coincidence. Even people who want to bash the game, they still have to play the game to record footage, which means people are still subscribing to the streaming services or they already bought a copy of Anthem. And it is also bringing in a lot of revenue if you look at it that way. That is why it is very important to talk about Anthem right now. Now, when the Division 2 comes out, it will take the baton for a little bit and then pass it back, because that is going to be one of those things that people will start talking about in that game as well. Anyways, thanks for watching this video and let me know what you think about this topic and this issue going on in the gaming industry. Thanks once again. It's DS signing out. I'll see you in the next one.